right, welcome to Protect Your Children Now. This is your host, Christopher Gelson with Protect Your Children Incorporated. First thing you will notice tonight is yours truly is not on the screen. Yes, and that is by design. That is by design, yes, because we have a very important show tonight, and I really want people to focus on the content, not necessarily be looking at me. I don't need to be on the screen as we go over this very important information to help protect your kids. We've said this over and over and over again that there is a war out there for your children. These evil predators, traffickers, kidnappers, scumbags, pedophiles are all over the place. They have stationed themselves where kids are most likely to be. They have positioned themselves online, in the community, at the schools, in the churches, the after-school programs, everywhere. Now, that doesn't mean you got to wrap your kids in bubble wrap and hide them in a corner. It means that your kids need to be educated, made aware of what the dangers are, and how to be safe. That's what our mission is, to educate and raise awareness on how to keep your kids safe from predators in the community and online. We need to wake up parents. There's a lot of parents that are not awake. They do not realize the danger that their kids are in. And that's just the truth. You know, we can't kind of soften that at all. We see a lot of things where parents are letting their kids do unbelievable things that put them in a lot of danger. And they don't realize that their kids' lives can be turned upside down in the blink of an eye. They don't realize it. They don't realize it. So we need to raise awareness and educate parents and kids. Working together with the community, we can help keep kids safe. So we thank you that you are here and that you're watching this live stream tonight. I want to jump right in and tell you first about our website, which is protectyourchildren.org, protectyourchildren.org. Lots of great resources. We have tons of, education, awareness, statistics, and all our live shows or podcasts are on the website as well. We have a free in-depth protection packet, which you can download and print and copy and read at your leisure. Download it on your phone. It's in English and in Spanish. These are not your mama and papa's one-liners. This is detailed protection on things that your kids need to look out for and things that parents need to look out for. And if you get educated with that, then your kids can have a better chance of being protected. So with that, I want to tell you that we have on our website is our links to our Facebook group, our Facebook page, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Rumble. If you haven't followed us on social media, please do so. We post education and awareness, and every now and then some funny stuff just to kind of lighten it up a little bit, because if you don't laugh a little, you'll just cry. We post stuff daily, all during the week. And if you subscribe and like to our channels and our social media, you will not miss a beat. So you can go to our website, protectyourchildren.org, and right there is all of the links for our social media. Also want to tell you that we have a downloadable flyer. All right, this Protect Your Children flyer with our QR code on it. You can click one download from our website. You can download this, print it out. You can leave it out at work, put it on the lunch counter, put it on the lunch tables, bring it to your church, hand it out in the community. However passionate you are, you can hand these out. And as you see here, it tells people some of the stuff that our website offers and how they can keep their kids safe. And this is also available on our website, protectyourchildren.org, just by clicking the download link. And also, we have a free, yes, did I say free? I said free, Protect Your Children from Molesters and Kidnapping bumper magnets, not a bumper sticker, because we all know what bumper stickers do to cars, right? This bumper magnet will not hurt your car. This is a free bumper magnet with our QR code on it. ProtectFromPredators.org is also our website. It'll take people to ProtectYourChildren.org. You want to request one of these? Go to our website, ProtectYourChildren.org. Request one. We will send it out to you free of charge. Put this on the back of your car, back of your vehicle. And guess what? Everywhere you drive around, you're letting the people know behind you how they can keep their kids safe from molesters and kidnapping. Just as easy as that. And we will send that out free of charge. All right? So, with that, I want to tell you that, oh gosh, our hero segment tonight is going to be a little different. I will tell you in advance that this is graphic talk. Our hero segment coming up in a few minutes is a video that someone posted on our page. It's an old video of a little girl being interviewed and her describing what a predator did to her. Now, we say she's a hero. Why is she a hero? Because kids that are brave enough to come out, and I think this girl was like 7 or 8 years old, and she was brave enough to go to her mother and or her father and other people and say what this guy was doing to her. And he is, I believe he's still rotting in jail, which is where he belongs. But this girl was an absolute hero. Brave, courageous, and we're going to listen to her. It's about a 6-minute clip of the interview that DCF had with her. And that'll be our hero segment for tonight. Now, if you have an experience, traumatizing experience in your past, this may bring up some emotions, but why do we want to show it? We want people to hear this and see this because it should enrage you just as it does us. It should make you angry. It should make you feel sad and empathetic for this little child. But this is what kids are going through every single day in this country. They're going through this every single day. And we have to do a better job at raising awareness and educating parents and kids and the good teachers that are out there, not the pervert ones, but the good teachers and other people that are working together that want to keep kids safe. We need to do a better job at raising awareness and educating them on what to look for. Because when you hear this little girl's story and how she explains what this guy did to her, it makes you want to go out and just do something really bad. But you know what? We want to take that passion. We want to take that anger. And we want to turn it into something good. We're going to turn that into a passion to protect. We often call our followers on Facebook and social media, and the few that donate to us, we call them passionate protectors. Why is that? Because they're not just nonchalantly sliding by the page and they just keep going. They don't read the content. They don't comment. They don't interact. No, this is a handful of people that take a minute to read what's there, to get educated, maybe to share it, to raise awareness. There's a few people that will donate to help us get this information out to more people. Those are passionate protectors. And we need more passionate protectors. Absolutely need more passionate protectors. All right, we're going to get into this Hero Kid segment here. And like I said, I warn you in advance, it's hard to listen to. And this is going back. This video clip, I believe, is from 1995. So this goes way back. And I'm not sure why it surfaced again on Instagram and Facebook, but we're glad that it did, because this is what people need to hear. They need to hear what these freaking sick predators are doing to our kids and how important it is to make sure that they are safe. And that goes a long way. That means parental controls on the phones and the game systems. It means being nosy. It means knowing who your friends are, really who they are, knowing who your kids' friends are, knowing who's at your kids' friend's house. It means knowing where your kids are at all times. Yes, you need to know where your kids are at and who they're hanging out with and what is happening. It means identifying behavior changes in your child and asking yourself, what the heck is going on? So there are a lot of things that parents can do and other caring people can do to not only identify abuse, but to protect the kids from it in the first place. So we'll do the Hero Kids segment, and then we're going to get into the 7 tactics that predators are using. 7 of many, but we're going to look at 7 of them tonight. And then toward the end of the show, there's a handful more that we're going to go over, some tricks, some traps, and some threats. This is very important, not only for parents, but for kids to learn. I mean, if you send the kids out there into a battle and they have no idea what the enemy is going to do, then how are they going to protect themselves? Tell me, how are they going to protect themselves? So what we got is a plan to educate the children so that they are aware of what they're going to run into, and then you teach them how to respond to it in case they do. That's the goal. So let's jump into this Hero Kids segment. It's very shocking, but we're going to take a listen. Let's check it out.
And his trousers was under the ball of his private.
Right. So whereby did he touch you on your private then?
In the middle.
Okay.
Not in the middle, but he had his hand like that and one like that.
One like that?
Yeah.
So how long was his hand on your private for?
I don't know. It was minutes, I know though.
Right. And what did your private feel like when you had his hand there?
He was hurting me.
And whereby was he hurting you?
He kept on pushing his hand down to the back of my private and it was hurting.
Right. So when he lay on top of you, what did he do then?
He tried to get into my private.
How did he do that?
He kept on, well, first he lay on top of me, then he was moving up and down.
So when he was moving up and down, what could you feel?
His private.
And where could you feel his private?
On my belly,
There. What did that feel like?
horrible.
How long did he do that for?
I don't know, it was in minutes again.
Was he saying anything?
Yeah,
And what was that?
he said, don't tell anyone this below, and he was saying it when he was keeping on going up and down saying it.
What part of him was going up and down then?
He was moving himself up and down, and his private was going, I could feel it wriggling on me like a worm.
Right. And whereby could you feel it wriggling?
By you, and it all of a sudden moved a bit.
Right. Do you remember the last time that he did something to you that you didn't like?
Yeah,
Tell me about that time then.
it was when he came down into the kitchen and he said, kiss me.
Right. Did you kiss him?
Yeah, because he told me to.
Right. What did you kiss him by? Where did you kiss him by?
The singer's last time on his lips.
And what do you kiss him like? 'Cause there's different types of kisses, isn't there?
Yeah, the one where you open your mouth like a fish, and the one where you poke out your tongue and wag it side to side.
Right. Who poked their tongue out?
He kept on doing it, and I had to do the same. And then when he opened his mouth like a fish, I had to catch it because Mommy told me to listen.
Okay. What does his private look like?
At the end, he got a hole, and then he had big circles on the end where he holds it.
Okay, what colour is it?
Pink.
Okay. Did anything come out of his private?
Yeah,
What was that?
the red part.
The red part.
Said, don't worry, Biz, because my teddy was the fat and the white, and he said the walls are as thick as the teddy. So then I done it because Mommy said that you gotta listen. Then he said, you're enjoying this, and I said, yeah, but in my head I said no. And said, how to do the grown-up kisses, then do it on me. And I said, no, it's naughty. And he said, I'll tell your mother you've been naughty. And I had to listen to another because Mommy said that to listen to it, because if you're naughty, you'll have to go to bed and you'll be grounded for a day, I think, or two. And then after that, he said to leave it down, and he said to lie on the floor, and he said to lie like that, and I said why, and he said do it, and then he pulled out his private out, and then he tried to put his private to mine, but he had it on my belly, and he said, is it in? And I said, yeah, because I didn't want him to put it in, so that's why I said yeah, because I didn't say no, because he wanted to do it, otherwise. And on the chair I missed out, he said, will you be my girlfriend? And I said, no, you're too old. And he said, will you please? And I said, yeah, but in my head I said no again. And then the next night he came in, then he was sitting on the settee and I was lying on the floor, and he said, you still my girlfriend? And I said no. And so when he lied crying, and I walked over him and went upstairs into my bed, and he said, and when he found me, he said, you're in bed, you babes. And I said, shut up. When he went back downstairs, I think I got up and
Wow. Brave girl. Brave girl. Could you imagine that? I mean, could you even imagine that? Imagine what she had to go through at the hands of this scumbag, this predator, this pervert, this evil monster. For a second, just try to imagine what she had to be going through. Totally confused, totally scared. Couldn't escape. And this is how it is for millions of kids. Millions, that's right. Predators like this. Now we don't know where mom was, or dad, or anybody else at that moment. But for this girl to come forward, speak about it, she's a hero. She's brave. And that scumbag got locked up for a very long time. So she's definitely a hero. But this is what we're trying to prevent. You know, we're just a small organization, handful of people, and we're trying to wake people up. We're trying to wake parents up. That the fact that these people are all over the place. You know, does that mean every single adult is bad? No, of course not. I don't think we're at that point yet. But for the parents that think they don't have to worry, the parents that think they don't have to keep an eye on their kids, for the parents that think, oh, they can trust their children, they already know better. There are tricks, and there's traps, and there's threats, and there's sextortion, and there's blackmail, and a whole host of other things that kids can fall into. And if you're a parent and you love your children, which I'm sure you do, then wouldn't you do anything you can to protect them? Wouldn't you get educated as much as you could? Even if it meant that you had to look at the world differently? Even if it meant that you actually had to keep this in your mind when your kids are out and about and they're over their friends' houses, apparently, or they're gone for overnights and they're gone for 12 or 15 hours? Don't you have to wonder what they're doing? What's happening? Of course you do. Now, it's not as hard to protect them as you might think. You get educated, you become aware, you use technology to your advantage with parental controls and app monitoring, message monitoring, GPS location tracking. It can help you go a long way with keeping an eye on your children. But you have to be willing to do it. You listen to that poor child, what she had to go through. She'll never be the same. She will never be the same. And that's what we want to prevent. This is why we do a live show every week. This is why we post on all our social media every day, generally during the week. It's why we put up reels and shorts. This is why we ask for donations, because we're trying to get information further out to people. You know, just for example, right now, we have 2 live viewers. That's it, 2. Now on Twitter, we've got 700 followers. On YouTube, we got 300. On our Facebook business page, we have almost 6,000. On our Facebook group, 600. And we've got 2 viewers. 2. And none from Facebook. That's concerning to us. And it's a bit discouraging. We have 1 viewer from Twitter, which, by the way, Twitter, if you comment, we can see your comments. And 1 viewer on YouTube. That's it. So we're about to get into these tactics that these child predators are using to lure kids. And 2 people are going to hear it. 2. Now, granted, on the podcast, last week's podcast was about 130, 140 podcast listens on Rumble. So we're thankful for that. But it's amazing to us how some of these smaller pages on Facebook and YouTube that are talking about Taylor Swift and the Super Bowl have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers. But you have a channel that's trying to highlight a real problem in the world, like what's happening to our kids. We're lucky if we get 1 or 2 comments. It shows you what's wrong. Our priorities are screwed up. In this country, our priorities are screwed up. We're more excited about the football game and about what Taylor Swift is doing and if our favorite band is coming for a concert, okay, than we are about protecting our children. As the Twitter follower just dropped off. It's hard. Now, thank God there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of organizations out there that are helping to raise awareness as well. And all of us working together are making an impact. Thank God for that. At least we're saving a few. But it's up to you who listen to the podcast or are watching live to share, to like, to tweet, retweet, subscribe, and get this information out there so more kids can be safe from these monsters. It's up to you. We can't do it by ourselves. We just can't. This is why our website is jam-packed with information. The in-depth protection packet, as we talked about, all our podcasts, links to our social media, tips on preventing child kidnapping, all our live shows, other child protection podcasts, zip code predator searches, how to set up parental controls step-by-step on devices, games, systems, and phones, missing children by state, ways you can help us out, eye-opening stats, how to protect children online, tons of stuff. Tons of stuff. This in-depth protection packet right here, 12-section in-depth protection packet. It's in English, and we also have it in Spanish. One click, you can download it right to your phone or to your computer. You read it. You read it with your kids. Make them aware so they don't have to go through what that poor child had to go through. Takes a lot of people, though. It does take an army. And we need your help to do it. The question is, will you help us? Will you share? Will you subscribe? Will you like? Anybody who's followed us for the few years we've been around know by now that this isn't about a popularity contest. This isn't about, oh, we want to get subscribers so we can look good. We ask for donations. It's not about, oh, we want to line our pockets and buy a new car. This is about protecting our children. It's about saving their lives. It's about preserving the future heroes and waymakers of America and the world by not letting their lives be torn apart and turned upside down by sexual abuse or kidnapping, by trafficking. That's what it's about. All right, let's get into these tactics. Excuse me. Looking at 7 tactics that predators use to target our children. The first one. This is how they talk to these kids, okay? This is how they talk to them. Can you keep a secret? Secrecy is one of the ways. We got to be careful what we say because YouTube likes to censor everything. So we'll say S-abuse thrives under layers of secrets. If your child hears this phrase from an adult, it's a huge red flag. A skilled abuser may first ask a child to keep a secret that seems innocent, saying things like, let's keep this treat our little secret. Or don't tell your mom we got ice cream before dinner. Now, these are small, benign secrets that seem harmless. But when the predator is confident the child has kept those types of secrets, the abuser will move on to acts of S-abuse, demanding secrecy about that behavior as well. At that point, the child may feel so guilty and ashamed that he or she feels that they cannot tell. So what can you do? You tell young children they must never keep secrets from their parents. Now, I know that's kind of funny, right? Because the kids today, the teenagers today, They go do something wrong. The first thing they're going to do is not tell their parents. But you want to encourage them that if anybody does talk to them in a bad way or starts talking to them like this, that's a secret that they will not get in trouble for and that they need to tell. They're not going to get in trouble, but they need to tell. All right. Next one. Predator will say, "You're my special friend." Friendship. Okay. Abusers try to build up relationships with kids by promoting common interests. They also try to establish trust with the kids by attempting to make children feel special or unique. An abuser will try to gain the affection of his or her intended victim by sharing these likes and things they have in common. Now, again, does this mean that every adult that builds a relationship with a child is bad? No, of course not. There are tons of wonderful mentors and counselors and police officers and social workers, teachers that are good people. And they may want to establish that relationship, that trust, that bond with the child. So that in itself is not wrong, right? But when it starts to cross the line or the conversation changes or they're starting to buy your child stuff without asking you first and you start to see some things that just seem kind of weird, you got to look out. So what can you do? A good rule of thumb to remember is that kids need age-appropriate friends and adults need adult friends. This is true. Now think about it. A predator will say, "Hey, you're my special friend," right? Why do they do that? They want to make that child feel special. Make them feel important. Okay, to try to establish this closeness, right? Number 3, let's spend some quality alone time together. Red flag. We all know that if an abuser is going to abuse a child, they're going to need to get them alone. They're going to want privacy. They're going to want isolation. A big red flag. Adults have adult friends, not special kid friends. Any activity that requires an adult to be alone with a child is not safe, especially overnights. Abusers try to normalize certain behaviors and lower inhibitions. That goes back to the demoralizing we're talking about. So a situation where a child must change clothing or do a sleepover is inherently risky. And again, there are good adults out there. Doesn't mean everybody's evil. So you can't just take one of these things and go, "Up, that means the person's bad." You got to look at the whole picture, right? Because certainly there are situations where kids are, parents hire somebody to teach the kids tennis or baseball or, excuse me, some kind of a sport, right? So there's a purpose there. There's an intended purpose for that child to be alone with that person. Now, you still have to keep your eyes open, though, right? Because that trainer could be a predator. You don't know. This is true. What you can do, implement the rule of 3. This rule requires that there should always be at least 3 people present, 1 adult and 2 or more children, or 2 adults and 1 child. Now, why is that? Obvious reasons. Chance that something's going to happen when there's witnesses and people around is very, very small. All right, let's keep going. That was number 3. Let's spend some quality alone time together. Oh, good God. Number 4, does somebody need a hug? Affection. Pats on the back, a hug to say goodbye, may be completely acceptable in many circumstances. Because of this, many predators seek careers where they have easy access to children. We're talking about that, right? School system, certain churches, after-school programs, so on and so forth. Be aware of your child's reactions to other adults and comfort levels regarding physical affection. And now, what does that mean? What that means is when you start to see a child reacting a certain way about certain touch or certain adults, they're uncomfortable, it's a red flag. You need to look into that. What's going on? You see a child that maybe once liked to give hugs, and we're not talking about the teenager who won't hug mom anymore in front of his friends or her friends, okay? That's normal. We get that. But when a child is affectionate and loving, and then all of a sudden they don't want to be touched, they're uncomfortable, they don't want to be around certain people, you have to ask what's going on. Could be a sign that something's happened or something is happening or happened. So does somebody need a hug? Now, what can you do? Teach your children that if they ever feel uncomfortable about any physical contact, they need to tell you. Learn about consent and teach body autonomy to your little ones from an early age. Nobody, absolutely nobody, has the right under any circumstance to touch your privates and to touch you in a way that you are not comfortable with. Period. You teach them that from a very young age. No matter how it feels, no adult has the right to do that. Number 5. Here we go. You want to hear a dirty joke? See, humor. An abuser can lure a child closer by using jokes and games. These may start G-rated, quote unquote G-rated, but soon lead to dirty jokes showing children online pornography or by introducing sexual games. Now, there's an old study out there that says, and it's a marketing strategy, believe it or not, it's a psychological marketing strategy that says if you can get someone to laugh, their guard will be down. And they're the most easiest to sell to at that moment. Get their guard down, and they're most open to whatever somebody is trying to sell them. This is why Hollywood will have a thriller or a comedy, whatever it is, and they'll have a trailer which has all these funny parts in it, right? And then you hear all the kids saying, I want to go see that. It looks really funny, because they want to laugh. And while they're in there and they're laughing at certain parts of the movie, they're being bombarded with all this sick, slutty, evil garbage that's pouring right into their minds. Because they're laughing. Their defenses are down. When someone's laughing, their guard isn't up. They're not on defense. No, they're relaxed. They're happy. It's when they're less likely to block anything coming at them. So yes, while we're told to look out for good touch, bad touch, parents, tell your kids, be looking out for good talk, bad talk. Good talk, bad talk is a warning. If an older teenager or an adult is talking sexually to your child with sexual jokes or innuendo, red freaking flag. Get away. Never is there a time where that is appropriate. And why should it be? Why would an adult want to be talking to a child like that anyway? Why? I'll tell you why. Because they want to see the reaction from the child. They want to see exactly how demoralized that child is. What kind of inhibitions that child has. Do they think it's funny? The more graphic the conversation gets. And then you know what? The more graphic the conversation gets, there's a better chance the child's going to get turned on by it, especially if they're at that hormone puberty age. And then the predator thinks they got a better chance of attacking them. But it all starts out with some humor. Just a funny joke. Big warning sign, big flag. Unbelievable. Whew. Man, it's a lot. But we're getting through it. So you want to hear a dirty joke? Good talk, bad talk. Yes, super important. Number 6, your parents don't understand you. I know how you feel. There you go. Make the child feel like they're totally cut off and that the predator is the only one that they have. Now, listen, there are certain circumstances where a child really doesn't have their parents. And that just makes it worse, right? Because predators can spot those things. They can identify that a mile away. The kid's not well taken care of, if they got large quantities of time in the neighborhood, or they're not having to check in or be watched or checked up on, predators will take advantage of that. They say, what's the chance that the parent's going to check in with this kid in the next couple of hours? Probably not much. So they'll try to say, hey, no one understands you but me. It's called empathy, right? Sometimes kids can feel isolated or alone, especially during family duress. Separations, divorce, or other changes in family structure or location can make kids more vulnerable. Predators often target kids who feel isolated from their peers by using empathy. I know how you feel. Trust me, because I'll take care of you. Now, what can you do? If your family does go through a stressful period, pay attention. A great family counselor can help get ahead of some of these issues. And again, having that open communication with your child, that they can come to you with anything at any time. And you will listen. And you will believe. And you'll be there to help. And whatever you do, don't ever tell your child that if somebody abuses them, that you'll kill the predator. Don't ever say that. If a child thinks that they're going to lose a parent if they tell what happens to them, they're never going to tell. And they can be trapped in that situation for years and years. There was a situation years ago, we're going back a bunch of years now, probably 10 or more, with a child whose father was openly against gays. Don't worry, YouTube censorship. We're not saying we're not against gays, okay? But this child talks about how his father basically said that, and he raised him to believe this, that if he was ever around any gay person, well, the dad would show them exactly what he felt. So what happened is this child grew up with this knowing that his father had this thing against gays, right? So then the child ends up in an abusive situation from a guy. And the child is told, hey, what you're doing is gay. Do you think that child ever went to his dad? Nope. Didn't do it. Because he was afraid his dad would go and kill the person. And then the child would lose his dad too. So parents, you got to keep that, no matter how you feel, you got to keep those words in. And say, you know what? If something happens, you come talk to me. You're not going to lose me too. Because the last thing the child needs is losing their parent on top of what they've already been through. Make sense? Hopefully. For the one person that's watching live. Thank you out there, whoever that is, on YouTube. Number 7, your parents will never forgive you if they find out what we did because you didn't say no. It's called shame. A child is not able to give consent in a sexual, we'll say that for YouTube, relationship. The blame, shame, control game. Love that. The blame, shame, control game is hard to handle. The predator will use a child's confusion and fear as they attempt to maintain control over the victim. You know, this is what the Catholic Church did when the priests were abusing the kids. They were telling the kids that if they told anybody, God would be angry at them. That God would be angry because the priest would get in trouble, and the priest was put there by God, right? So the priests were using shame and blame and control to keep those kids in those abusive relationships for as long as they possibly could. How's that for sick and twisted? So what can you do? Well, kids need to know that no matter how long, this is important, no matter how long any inappropriate contact or abuse has gone on, it is never their fault. And that you will always help, protect, and love them. They need to know no matter how long it's gone on. Because listen, this happens, parents. There are kids that, I hate to say the word willingly, but it's an emotional statutory rape. But there are kids that are not being physically forced. They're not being threatened. But they're trapped in the emotions and the sexual feelings of an inappropriate relationship. And there's kids that have stayed willingly, quote unquote, I say willingly, in a relationship for years. And then when they get to a point where they go, wait a minute, this is really wrong, or they want to stop it and the predator won't, they're afraid to tell because they didn't stop it right away. So no matter how long any inappropriate contact or abuse had gone on, it's never their fault. And that you'll always help, protect, and love them. Parents, make sure your kids know that. Tell you real quick, protectyourchildren.org is the website, protectyourchildren.org. Education and awareness at your fingertips. Free background checks, zip code predator searches, in-depth protection guidelines, live podcasts, teaching videos. It's all there, protectyourchildren.org. As we wind this down, remember this: a prepared child is less of a target. Parents have the immense responsibility of trying to protect their families from S-abuse. The best way to add a layer of protection is to educate yourself and your kids about S-abuse. S-abuse can be prevented when parents learn the facts about S-abuse and minimize the risks for the family. It's called being prepared. We all know something about that, right? Vis-a-vis COVID. You know how many people now are prepared for another pandemic? Maybe they have things now that they'd never had in the first time around, just in case. They got a stockpile of food and water and N95 masks and other stuff just in case. There's nothing wrong with being prepared. If your child is prepared to what they may face, they become less of a target. Because do you know what happens when that predator tries to tell that dirty joke to the child? And the child gets that look on their face. It's like, okay, that's kind of weird. See you later. I'm out of here. That predator knows he or she don't have a chance with that child. Because they know that the guard is up. The morals are intact. And they're going to go to somebody else. But if a child's not aware, they can easily be dragged down a road that gets into a place where they don't really want to go. And then their whole world changes. The whole world changes. We got just a few minutes left. Thank you for the 2 live viewers on YouTube that are watching right now. Ha ha. Excuse me. Haha says, not sure if it's on my end, but your visual is blurred. That is a possibility. As you notice, not on camera tonight. because I was trying to make more space for people to read what's on the screen. But I'm reading to you right what's on the screen. So sorry about the blurriness. All right. So we mentioned about the guidelines. On our website, this is section 6 of the guidelines that are available on our website for free. We don't have time to go over all of this, but this section covers the most common tricks, threats, and lies used by child abusers and molesters to trap kids into starting and staying in the abuse. And this is a true statement here. Most abusers are sadly convinced that they are not doing a child any harm. That's how twisted that gets. The abuser actually believes that he or she is providing a feel-good service to a child, an emotional need. Oh, they're just helping. See, it's that same thought that drug dealers have. And I used to be a drug and alcohol counselor, and I've talked to people that came into rehab to get their lives cleaned up. And they talk about how they dealt drugs for years and years and years and years. And I asked them, I said, well, how do you process that now? You could be responsible for the deaths of people out there. And they say, hey, I was just helping them out at the time. They needed something to feel good to help get them through, and I provided it for them. It's the same kind of thinking. I'm not really hurting a child, just helping them get through, just giving them what they want. That's how they have to convince themselves that what they're doing isn't wrong. So even though God, the law, and basic morals say it's wrong, abusers have convinced themselves that everyone else is wrong and that they just don't understand and that it's actually okay. And they will hide what they are doing. They sometimes become friends with the parents or whoever they need to earn trust from the child. Abusers also feel they need to control their own past and present environment. That goes into a psychological situation of why abusers do what they do. But some of the things to look for, got a couple we can go over here. Blackmail. This tactic is when a child, young or a teenager, is caught by we can't say that word on YouTube, a abuser will say, doing something criminal or even something that the child would get in trouble for by their parents. Now, if this abuser or predator is watching and looking for a child to harm, then this situation can come into play very quickly. So they'll let the child know that they were seen doing what that thing was wrong, and if they don't do sexual stuff with them, then the abuser will tell the parents or the police about what the child did. So then the child gets scared that they're going to get in trouble, they're going to go to juvie, whatever's going to happen. And think about that. See, kids don't think about that today. They want to go running around, breaking the law, doing stupid stuff that they've seen on TikTok. And they don't realize how quickly this can happen. The wrong person sees them doing what they're doing and comes to them and says, hey, I got video of what you just did, and I'm going to the police with it, and unless you do this. Now the child's in an impossible situation. But parents, make sure your child knows that, quote unquote, allowing themselves to be abused, no matter what the circumstances is more dangerous and damaging to them than what it is they may have done wrong, or even the consequences of it. And remember, the potential child abuser may not seem like a child abuser at first. They may be really nice to you and even to your mom and dad, speaking to the kids, even though there are many nice adults that do not want to harm you. You tell your kids this, there are some that do. And if your parents know a person and let you spend time with them, and that person is not talking to you in any kind of sexual way or trying to touch you in a sexual way or trying to get you to look at or read anything sexual, then it's okay. But your parents know about it. They approve of it. And then there's a trick. The potential abuser will sometimes become friends with the parents of the child they wish to, quote unquote, help, right? Because they think they're just helping, but you're actually harming. They may do this through a random act of kindness or try to get involved with a single parent. They will earn trust with the hope of eventually spending time alone with the child. And again, we will reiterate, it doesn't mean that every adult, if there's a guy out there who's looking for a family and he meets a single mom, and he could be a good guy, right? But you'll know that based upon the warnings. If he's not being sexual and he's not, or she's not, whatever the situation is, isn't crossing any boundaries, doing anything inappropriate, maybe turn out to be a good person. But you have to keep your eyes open because they just may not be. Time for one or two more real quick. Another trick, the potential abuser will offer something free to his or her potential victim. This is something the child would like and would make the child look and feel popular so that they will not refuse. The abuser may even offer money. They will claim it's just free with no strings attached. Now, as a parent, keep your eyes open for new clothes, jewelry, music, money. Anything that the parent didn't buy. You should find out who's giving your child free stuff and demand to meet the person to make sure everything's okay with the free stuff and why are they giving your child free stuff. And a nice way would be a good idea to ask them why. And you can come at that with, hey, not trying to be, rude or anything, but, why are you buying my child's stuff? See, no adult should be buying your child's stuff. Unless they come to you and say, hey, you know what? I realized, your whatever, daughter, son, whatever, it looks like they may need this. Is it okay if I get that for them? Oh, all right. Well, thank you very much. It's very nice of you. But if a child starts showing up with money that you know that there's no way they could have got it because they're not working, they start showing up with clothes, jewelry, games, anything like that. Where did that come from? I didn't buy that for you. Dad didn't buy that for you. Who got that for you? See that? The rest of the guidelines is right here on protectyourchildren.org. You can one-click download. All the stuff is here. It's great to go over with your kids. These are some lies that are told by abusers. And there's a bunch of threats that have been told and how you can, rectify that situation if there's a threat. Right there on protectyourchildren.org. Click on the free guidelines. So, for any of you that came late, that hero segment was pretty powerful tonight. That poor girl, that little girl was brave enough to come forward and say, hey, this is what the guy did to me. And for that, she's a hero. Our hearts break for her. Just listening to that had to be a horrifying situation for her. No doubt affected her the rest of her life. If you missed it, you can go back and watch on the podcast. Be available in about 10 or 15 minutes toward the beginning of the show. But her 6-minute testimony of what happened to her, I'll tell you, if that doesn't break your heart, and if that doesn't make you want to protect kids, if that doesn't make you want to help, I don't know what will. It's because of little girls like that we do what we do here. It's because of kids like that we get frustrated and angry when there's only 3 live viewers and we have 6,500 people following us on social media. And we get 3. It's not about the numbers for us. It's about the numbers for awareness. That's what it's about. When we ask for donations, it's not because we want to get rich. The donations are to further push out the content to protect more kids. That's what it's about. Because we don't want to see any child have to go through what that little girl did. But the reality is millions are going through it in this country every day. And 95% of it can be stopped. That's the truth. With parental supervision, parental involvement, other good people being involved, watching for the warning signs, teaching the kids, being nosy, 95% of that can stop. The traffickers don't have any kids to traffic unless they can get to them first. And they can't get to the kids if the parents are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Think about that for a minute. It's sobering, but think about that for a minute. It's why the war on drugs doesn't work. Because as long as there's people wanting to do drugs, the dealers are always going to have business. You start addressing why people want to do the drugs and you change that, and there's less people wanting to consume, then there's less people for the dealer to deal to, and then it goes away. Predators can only do what they do because there's kids available for them to do it too. But if parents and teachers and other good people stand in the way and educate the kids and stay aware and protect them, it's less children for the predators to come after. And that's the goal. Education and awareness. ProtectYourChildren.org is the website, ProtectYourChildren.org. Check it out today, and please, whether you're watching live or you catch it on the podcast, please share for the children. Share this information. Parents need to hear this. When they're sitting at work with their earbuds in, they can listen to this. When they're in the car, they can listen to it. They can play part of it while they're driving the kid to school so the kids can learn. But they can't if they can't find it. And I can tell you right now, Facebook is not doing anything, or YouTube is not doing anything to push our content out. It's just not happening. So if you guys don't like, subscribe, share, the content doesn't go anywhere. Rumble's the only place where we're getting the majority of our podcast views now. Not sure why that is. Maybe Rumble's actually promoting it. Who knows? So please do your part. Like, share, subscribe, and help protect more kids today. Thank you for the ones that have been here. Appreciate you. Until next week, this is Chris with Protect Your Children Incorporated. Stay nosy and keep protecting, and God bless.